I'm here with Bill Hennessy. This is the Conservative Heartland Leadership Conference. It's day 2. And I wanted to ask Bill Hennessy a couple of questions. First, I just want to start by asking Bill if you could give us a rundown of the state of the Tea Parties. Where are we in St. Louis in the Tea Party world?
In St. Louis, we're kind of struggling with a location for July 4th. St. Louis has one of the largest 4th of July celebrations in the country. It started with what was called the VP Fair back in the early 80s, and so it's been going on about 30 years now, and it kind of dominates the St. Louis scene that entire weekend. It's a 4-day festival, so there aren't a lot of venues available, but we're planning on combining with other cities in the area for before and after kind of events, and still trying to pick a location for the 4th or the 3rd or somewhere on that weekend to have a small gathering. It probably won't be as robust as the Tax Day Tea Party was.
What are your expectations going forward, like past July 4th? Do you have any other events kind of scheduled at this point? Are you thinking about events? What does it look like?
Yes, we're going to have another event later at least one more event later in this year, but we're also going to start transitioning from large events into more activism and activities. So one thing that I want to do with around July 4th is start finding out what people are most interested in pushing and picking 1 or 2 at the most topics to push. Personally, I kind of favor the Bill of Federalism and to see if we can get Missouri to be the first state in the union to petition Congress for a constitutional convention to vote up or down on a bill of about 10 amendments to the Constitution that would essentially just reinforce the 10th Amendment, which seems to have lost interest, the judiciary seems to have lost interest in enforcing it.
In addition to the Bill of Federalism, which I have seen that, I agree with the sentiments there, what would you put as your, say, second or third choices of topics for further discussion?
Again, for me personally, it would be the flat tax. I know that there's a lot of sentiment in favor of the fair tax. There's two concerns that I have with the fair tax. The first one is it's complicated. If it takes longer than about 30 seconds to explain how it works and how it benefits people, you're probably going to lose interest before you even get the explanation out. Flat tax is very simple.
Could you explain the flat tax quickly?
Flat tax is very simple. How much did you make last year? Subtract $25,000, or some number, doesn't have to be 25, but subtract $25,000 from that, multiply by 0.15, and send that amount. If it's less than 0, you send nothing. That would allow anybody to do their taxes online in a few minutes. I would also eliminate the mandatory withholding tax. So if a company wants to voluntarily withhold income, if your bank wants to set up a program where your direct deposit, they automatically set aside 15% or something so that you have an account set up at the end of the year, that's fine, but I'd eliminate the mandatory withholding.
The Tea Parties have focused a lot on taxes. Can you tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on the spending side of the equation?
Well, one of I've been, I guess I'm wrong now. I used to think that if there was no hope of increasing taxes, or if it was extremely difficult, it would kind of force government to stop spending so much. As we've seen with quadrupling the deficit this year in the first month and a half, that may no longer be the case. I think that the Bill of Federalism does a lot to limit spending simply because it reduces dramatically the scope of government. Basically, most of what we spend money on in government, when you look at a pie chart of where the money goes, are things that are unconstitutional. The Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, most of the welfare programs, there's nothing in the Constitution that permits Congress to run programs like that. There's certainly nothing that permits the government to own an automobile company or a bunch of banks and brokerage firms. All of those things are patently illegal. The Bill of Federalism would impose the 10th Amendment back on the government so that they wouldn't be able to run enterprises like that, which bleed money. And that would be a big step toward